wise man goes when he can, the fool goes when he must.
Look, here's Jean in all her glory.
Oh, Jean. You haven't changed a jot.
Didn't I tell you? Didn't I say she still looks like a young girl? Reggie, don't I get a kiss? Reg?
Now, I apologize for hurting you. Please be kind to me. We were different people then. There, I've been rehearsing that all the past week.
He's upset because he wasn't warned you were coming.
I'm not upset.
Well, Reg, this is the first time we've seen each other in God knows how many years.
97.
Is it really that long? God, how time flies.
Hi everybody, I'm Peter Travers. This is Popcorn, where we tell you what's going on at the movies. And there's a kind of remarkable going on now called Quartet. And Dustin Hoffman's name is associated with it, but you know, after, 6 decades as an actor, he has decided at this point, I'm going to direct. And so he has. Why? Well, Dustin, you're here. Why?
Well, you know, I directed a play by Murray Schiskell on Broadway called All Over Town years ago. I actually, when I started studying acting at 18 or 19, other students would somehow rehearse scenes, and I would give them some ideas. They said, "Oh man, you're the next Kazan," because he was the biggest. You should be a director. And you know, I started directing this thing called Straight Time, but I don't have an easy answer because it's such a complicated question.
What was it about Quartet then that made you say this'll be it?
I read it and I got moved by it, and my wife said, "What?" She saw me a little emotional, and I said, "It got you?" Because I'm usually fairly I said something about it, and I asked her to read it, and she understood it. But you, when we were just talking before, you nailed it much more economically than I could, because you're a writer.
Well, but I think it is about resilience. But it's people who are in a retirement home who are musicians, opera singers, people who had this kind of major career. And what you don't do in it that I really like is concentrate on illness, you know? Even those people there that are having a tough time, we're not sort of wallowing in that. And
that would have been another movie.
It would have been another movie completely. Yeah. And they're fairly, you know, well off. They can come to this beautiful place that they're doing this with. And yet, I love the fact that it's the same profession, you know? That they're all together and they have rivalries, they have...
Yes. And that's, when I read it, I said, you know certain things that you want to do, and you know certain things you don't want to do. It's just intuitively. And I said to the producer, Finola, I said, I want real opera singers and musicians in this movie. I don't want actors pretending. And we had to scour, Lucy Bevan, who was the casting director, you know, she scoured the countryside all over Britain.
Casting.
Yes.
I mean, you talked about using these people, but Maggie Smith, Billy Connolly, Pauline Collins, Tom Courtenay, who I think is spectacularly good in this.
Thank you.
I'll
thank him.
Thank him, yeah. But why and how do you decide on that quartet, to be this quartet?
When I read it, I was told that Ron Harwood had written a screenplay for The Dresser, which had been a play which starred Tom Courtenay and Albert Finney. Both those guys said, we want to do something else together, can you write something? So he wrote this for Courtenay and for Finney, and Finney unfortunately was ill and couldn't do it. So I cast Billy Connolly. Maggie Smith was already with the project because she's known the writer for 50 years. So the movie came with Tom Courtenay and Maggie Smith. And Pauline Collins, I didn't know. And what directors fail to do, and I've never understood it, is good actors know good actors. And they rarely say, who do you think would be right for this, you know, kind of control freaks. And I called Maggie Smith, whom I didn't know because I was working in LA. And without pause, she said, Pauline Collins. And I said, who is she? And then
Shirley Valentine.
Yeah. And I went to see it. And then I saw her in a Woody Allen movie where she played a psychic. And she was wonderful in a supporting part. And I said to her, it was like you were improvising. And it's interesting because she said, I was. I said, but it's Woody Allen. And I said, how did you do that? She said, well, I asked him if I could improvise. And he said, say whatever you want.
Great to know that. You know.
Yes.
Do whatever you want. It's
Say whatever you want.
Yeah, we don't really care about any of this. I was saying to you before, and I mean it, with Maggie Smith, who I think we know her now. This generation is really knows her, especially from Downton Abbey, from
Yes.
Gosford Park, and that
Yes.
she's the expert at the put down,
Yes.
at just doing this, and she does a little of that. But I think in your movie we see not only that, but we see, I think, beauty. I think in age too, it's really there, and I would remember what she looked like then. You also do in this movie, I don't want to give anything away, but toward the end of the movie we get to see these musicians you talked about as they looked when they
Yes.
were on stage in their youth, which
Yes.
would have gotten me going on the plane without even seeing that.
Yes.
But how tough was that? Did you know Maggie Smith before? Did you feel she had a reputation that was intimidating at all?
The word perfectionist is a dirty word in my craft, or in my
But why?
business. I always say, what if, God forbid, you're having brain surgery, and on the way into surgery, the doctor says, I'm so-and-so, and I just want you to know I'm not a perfectionist, I'm a hell of a nice, You want to do the best work you can do, and movies are designed to just, you're always overscheduled, and you don't have time, they say, to do your best work. And she's relentless at that, and she will not leave until she feels that she has given her best. That's just the fabric of her. I said to her, Maggie, this is thinly veiled. You're calling yourself this character's name, and she is a diva, but you don't have to act that. I looked up diva, by the way. It's also not a dirty word. It means someone who is extraordinary at what they do. It's funny how things take on another connotation. And I said, if you can play as close to yourself as possible, that's what I think we should all be doing. We're all in our 70s here, except Connolly always reminded us he was 69.
He had escaped any.
Yes, I'm still young. And I said, if we can reflect what we feel like being this generation that we are, and having put most of our adult life into our work, then we will have done a service. And once I was able to get the okay to use real opera singers and musicians, retired, they came to the set and gave us something unexpected. No one had run their phone for 30 years. And the fact that they had a job after years and years and years of feeling like they were, in the ether, they came in their 70s, in their 80s, in their 90s, and they got to work at 6, and they worked long hours till 7, and they'd still be there if we were shooting. They had such a passion for work. It was very moving. I grabbed his balls during a take.
Well, you tend to do that, though. Come on.
There's
so many complaints.
Only if it's right for the scene.